Confession time. I have had this for absolutely ages. I'm late. Dave is gonna be mightily annoyed. Not because the video's late, you understand, but because I haven't been in for so long. And when I haven't been in for a period of 48 hours or more, Dave files a missing persons report. I guess what I could do is sneak in, put it on the counter while he's not watching. Let's hope I can.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Just returning that.
Where have you been?
I've been around. I've been around.
It's been 17 days, 6 hours and 34 minutes.
I've been busy. It's a busy time. I've been busy.
I think you're just taking advantage of my no late fees policy, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
It's not good enough, Gareth. It's not good enough.
I know.
Anyway, what are you renting now?
I don't know. Ooh! Navy SEALs!
Hello! Thanks to Gaz for helping me out with the hilarious opening sketch there. And yeah, isn't it weird? You know, no late fees. It's like, yeah. It's like, why didn't Blockbuster do that? Oh, they did do that, and then they went bust. Yeah, right, well, moving on. Hello, welcome to episode 5 of Inside the Video Store. Thank you again for joining me, which is very, very kind of you. I'm not going to predict the length of today's show, because that seems to be, that seems to be a bit silly, as I'm getting longer and longer and longer. But anyway, got some exciting stuff coming up with some really cool new films, some exciting deliveries, and a few little tweaks to the store as well, which I'm going to show you about. Anyway, yeah, busy week. We've got loads of new films in. So let's look at the fresh produce. These are the brand new films, the films that aren't boutique Blu-rays. The meat and potatoes, the brand new releases, all on DVD this week. Well, mainly on DVD this week because, there's no real strong movie among them that seems to be worth kind of picking up on both formats. So, unfortunately, and as I always say, I've had to fall back on the most popular format in physical media right now, much to, I'm sure, most of your annoyance. Anyway, first up we have Priscilla. Priscilla, it's a new film by Sofia Coppola. By all accounts, it's pretty faithful to Priscilla Presley's own memoir. Sofia Coppola, I found her to be quite an inconsistent director, much like her father, I guess, to some degree. Her early films like Lost in Translation and The Virgin Suicides, they were both amazing movies. But since then, a little bit up and down. Stuff like The Bling Ring did not do it for me at all. I must admit, Rolling Stone has called Priscilla the best film that she's done since Lost in Translation. So fingers crossed, this should be a triumphant return to form. What happened to Meg Ryan? She's been absent of late. This is a new film. What happens later? She directed it for a play by Stephen Dietz. And it is very much of a play type format in it. It's all set in inside an airport. I think two former partners get snowed in and they end up talking through their whole lives together. Admittedly, if you're ADHD, you're not going to really go for this. But by all accounts, it's all right. Although I don't think, it got the critical acclaim that she was hoping for. But anyway, what happens later is its name, and it's out now. The Colour Purple is a familiar name. And when this got announced, I don't pay any attention to what's out at the cinema and what's upcoming in the movies. It's just not my cup of tea. I just kind of treat each week as it comes. So every time I look at the new release sheet for each week, it's a surprise, as I really don't know anything about the majority of films that are there. I didn't know anything about this. I kind of thought, well, why have they remade The Colour Purple? However, it's a musical now. A musical, yeah, it blends all kinds of like gospel, pop, blues, ballads, and yeah, the BBC said it's a big, brash spectacle. So, by all accounts, this could be a remake worth watching. The Colour Purple is out this week in the UK. Taika Waititi, amazing director, did some brilliant films like Eagle vs. Shark, Hunt for the Wilder People, and What We Did in the Shadows. Excellent films, and some Thor films as well. But yeah, this is based upon the true story about American Samoa. The football team, who of course got trounced 31-0 in one of their qualifiers for the World Cup. So a coach took them over, played by Michael Fassbender, and it's about their journey and how, triumph over adversity kind of thing. I don't think it's necessarily aimed at all you football lovers, so hopefully it should have a wider audience. But yeah, looks good. Hamlet. This is a weird one. Filmed entirely at the Theatre Royal Windsor, which has become effectively a set for this film. So it's kind of a weird fusion between stage and screen. So it's a play but doesn't screen, but it's filmed like a film but done like a play. I know you're with me. Looks interesting. We can't beat a bit of Hamlet, although my favourite is Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. Saw it at the cinema, 4 hours. That was a numb-bum time. Yeah, this looks all right. Cast of thespian wonderful people like Jonathan Hyde, Stephen Burkoff, Francis Barber. So it looks like a really ambitious, adventurous little movie that tries to do something a little bit different with Hamlet. So yeah, looking forward to that. Probably won't watch it though, but I might. You don't know. Baghead. Baghead isn't this Baghead. It's this Baghead. Who knew? 2 films called Baghead. Horror movie, first feature from Alberto Corredor, which is based on his short film from 2017, I think, about a young woman called Iris who inherits a rundown pub from her father, who she doesn't have a great relationship with, and she discovers a dark secret within the basement. Looks kind of interesting. Out this week. A couple of new ones from Full Moon Pictures came over. I know we have a lot of Full Moon fans following here, and a lot of Full Moons, a lot of people who hate Full Moon, which is fine. But this is really cool. It's called Bad CGI Gator. It's the new film from Danny Draven, the Full Moon veteran who's been working with him for about 22, 23 years. It is what it is. It is what it says on the tin, as the saying goes. First screen credit for Charlie Band's son, Zalman Band, and it's entertaining stuff. It's not bad. The CGI Gator isn't as bad as you would have thought. The running time is as with most Full Moon films these days, is fairly brief. It's 58 minutes. However, Danny Draven packs the disc with a host of special features, including 2 podcast episodes that he appeared on, a commentary with him and Zalman, and also a really interesting bit, which is a table read, which has the cast, I know it's explaining the obvious, which has the cast sat around a table reading the script, and it's kind of interesting to hear, watch and listen to that. So yeah, pretty cool. Enjoyed Bad CGI Gator, and nice to have it over from the States. Another from Full Moon, it's the new one from Charlie himself. He directed it, Amy the Visitor, where he does his own spin on the AI kind of thing. Less special features on this, sadly, but it does have a more healthy running time of almost 70 minutes, which is kind of the perfect length for a feature, if you ask me. Finally, the Soul Boutique release for this week. Just wait until the 22nd. There's 14 boutique releases coming out. But this week, just the one. It's the new Criterion. It's an upgrade. I have the DVD of this, which was part of the Masters of Cinema collection back in the day, under the title The Devil and Daniel Webster. This time it's called All That Money Can Buy. Excellent film. If you've not seen it, Oscar-winning score by Bernard Herrmann. And yeah, definitely worth the upgrade if you've got the MOC DVD. An excellent addition to everyone's growing Criterion collection. Okay, it's time for an episode of What's in the Box. Again, we have an invisible box, but that's okay. Now, last week we did the Movie Zing Warner Archive sale, Part 1. Part 2 is currently in transit, although temporarily AWOL. But in the meantime, I have some more Warner stuff, because obviously I'm a big fan of Warner Archive, and I've decided to pick up a few bits that I've kind of missed out on over the years. Stuff that's been on my never-ending wish list of stuff to get for the shop. So yeah, this week it's just literally a big box of stuff from the Jeff Bezos place, unfortunately. With some archive, Warner Archive, if you get me. Anyway, what do we got? We got mainly a sort of comedy theme running through it, but I was really keen to get these Bill Elliott detective mysteries. There's 5 films on here. As you'll probably know, Bill Elliott was renowned as a great cowboy icon for so long during the 30s and 40s. He made over 200 movies, but in the latter stages of his career, he made this switch to these little detective films, made 5 in total, early 50s. And they're great. They're very, hour-long kind of stuff that requires very little brain capacity, but they're well made and they're quite entertaining. So yeah, I wanted to get that to take a look at those. Big fan of this film, Cookie, which kind of died when it came out. It wasn't a great success at all. Written by Nora Ephron and starring, of course, Emily Lloyd, who at the time was destined to be a massive international star, but never quite made it. But this is good fun, mafia-themed comedy with a bizarre soundtrack that features Holly Johnson and Kylie Minogue. Yeah, but it's a good film. I had a look at it the other night and really did enjoy that. Enjoyed it a great deal. Another one that turned up in my Warner Archive box this week was the John Larroquette film Second Sight. Again, another comedy that seemed to bomb at the box office in the late 80s. Same year, I think, as Cookie, 89. I'd like to say for this one, like with Cookie, I don't know why it did bomb. This one, I do know why it bombed, because it's not very funny. It's kind of... I watched it this past week, and it's enjoyable in fits and starts. There's a few laughs. There's no belly laughs to speak of. But yeah, Bronson Pinchot, don't really see his comedic ability, no offence. But thankfully John Larroquette is in it, and he is an absolute icon. So thankfully with his presence, it's not such a bad movie. Sticking with the comedies, this Curly Sue is one of the most requested films I've ever had in this video store. For some reason here in the UK, it disappeared after VHS. Completely disappeared. VHS is the only format that we've had this film released on. Bit weird. So yeah, loads of people who grew up with this film in the 80s, or early 90s rather, been determined to watch it, desperate to watch it again, and they haven't been able to. So thankfully Warner Archive have had this in their library for quite some time, and of course with the discs being UK friendly, I was able to import it over. So now my customers can get their John Hughes fix. I think the only John Hughes film that I'm missing in my collection here. So yeah, really pleased to get that one. Oh yeah, another comedy here. We have Gene Wilder and Donald Sutherland in Start the Revolution Without Me. It looks absolutely fantastic. I've never seen it. Again, missing in this country, but Gene Wilder is in it. Jack McGarren, Orson Welles. you cannot really go wrong, can you? So yeah, desperate to watch this, and of course Gene Wilder commentary on it as well, which should be super cool. Last of the comedies, and another in the Warner Archive box. I'm a big Albert Brooks fan. The 2 Criterion discs of his that came out last year here, Defending Your Life and the other one, I can't remember. Love those films, 2 of my favourite films. I still wish Mother would come out over here, but still waiting for that. But nevertheless, I have not seen this film. It looks interesting. Looking for comedy in the Muslim world. Bound to be a little bit of an envelope pusher. But yeah, we shall see. Pleased to have it anyway, because any Albert Brooks film is more than welcome in this video store. Going to end up with a couple of thrillers. And a western. We have Harvey Keitel in Fingers. Try and pick up every Harvey Keitel film because he's such an icon. James Toback directed this. Wasn't he involved in something sometime? Can't remember what. Wouldn't like to say, but I'm sure you know. Anyway, yeah, Harvey Keitel is in this film. Looks, I would imagine it would be set in New York, knowing Toback's history. So yeah, irrespective of the circumstances regarding the director, the film looks really, really interesting. So I can't wait to see that. Finally, in the thrillers, I mentioned last week that my customers are huge fans of 70s cop thrillers, and here's another one. So this should be rent out like hotcakes. It's Chandler with Warren Oates. Looks amazing. Looks amazing. We do love our 70s cop thrillers here at Snips. And finally, a really underrated western. I don't know why this one isn't more popular, to be honest. I think it's fantastic. Emilio Estevez and William Forsythe star in Dollar for the Dead. I think this has got a DVD release over here in a budget format. I remember having the VHS of it on the Marquee label. Damn, I don't know where that came from. And yeah, I think it got a DVD release on one of the budget labels. But hopefully this should be a better print, certainly in the correct aspect ratio. So yeah, looking forward to revisiting this. George S. Clinton did the soundtrack as well. Yeah, in my opinion, this is a great western, which seems to have been largely forgotten since its release. So yeah, pleased to have that here. And that is this week's What's in the Backs. Hopefully next week we will have the AWOL Movie Zing Delivery Part 2, which will be more Warner Archive. But yeah, more about them next. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of an on-tour section here. And we're going to take a look at the new, well, soon-to-be new Warner Archive section. I think one of the things you've got to realise when, I mean, you know better than me, in any business you've got to evolve with habits, evolve with changes and changes in behaviour and things like that. And one of the things I've seen here is a change in the new release wall. You know, back in the day, going back 10, 15, 20 years, the new release wall was our main source of revenue. That was where the vast majority of people would spend their money. It was the one place that they, you know, walked into. They would look at this 12-foot space in the wall, see what they want, rent it, and go. And that was it. But things have changed. People are now browsing more and browsing for longer. The new release wall is less of a thing because I find that it's two different groups of customers. The customers who want the new releases, the vast majority of those have gone now. They've gone now. They're happy with Sky Go at £4.50, the Amazon Prime at £4.50 per rental. They're happy with that. They don't want to wait at the video store and watch the new Blu-ray and DVD. Some do, but it's a fraction of those that did that 10, 15, 20 years ago. So the vast majority of my customers now, they want to browse, they want to look at the old films, the boutique Blu-rays, the out-of-print DVDs, the stuff that's in streaming. So it's a bit of a change. So I feel as though that the new release wall at the moment takes up a lot of space. I mean, there's 216 titles on the new release wall. 216 titles. I mean, here it is here. You'll see it popping up. I mean, that's a long amount of space. What's that? Yeah, it's about 12 foot, isn't it? And you think to yourself, well, it's not exactly space saving, is it? It's not exactly a good use of space. So I thought, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a quarter of that new release wall off. That's 52 titles. Sorry, 54 titles. So I remove 54 titles, remove a segment, a section, a quarter of it, and then I can install a bookcase type unit that I've got everywhere else in that space. So we go then from having a space with 54 titles to a space that can hold 500 titles. It's just a no-brainer. Also, it's prime retail footage, you know. That's an easy place to browse. There's nothing in anybody's way. They can stand there, they can flick through the whole section, and they're not kind of having to move out the way or from people getting past and things like that. So I thought that's what I'm going to do. Here's the bookcase. Here's the bookcase that I built. 8 shelves. I think it's 62 DVDs, Blu-rays per shelf if I bookend them, which I don't want to do. I want to have some face on, because people do feel compelled or more compelled to browse things when things are face on. So that just needs a few coats of paint, and hopefully this time next week you should be able to see it all merchandised, and yeah, looking really, really good. So we'll hold probably about 5 shelves for Warner Archive. Then I'll put maybe things that fit into that bracket, maybe the Studio Canal Vintage Classics section, maybe that can go there as well. And also perhaps the BFI Flipside collection as well. Again, they're not essentially labels that all dovetail nicely, but they do fit well together. And it also frees up more space for other places. So now I can use the space that Warner Archive was on for something completely different, which I'll tell you about next week. Okay, it's time to have a look at what's on loan this week. Again, it's been another crazy week. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it has. I mean, this past Saturday just gone was one of my busiest Saturdays in a long time. And there's some great films going out. I was kind of thinking, you know, you're 5 weeks into this, we're going to get some repetitions. But yeah, I guess it just goes to show the real eclectic taste that my customers have, my new customers that seem to be coming in all the time. So it's really good to see. I've got a couple of twofers. First of all, last week, if you remember, we had the pair of Gregoraki films that went out to different customers, so that was really cool to see. This week we have 2 twofers. We have Antichrist and Dogville. Someone's in for a funny thing. No, 2 separate people rented these. Antichrist and Dogville. Very different films, both of course by Lars von Trier. Challenging is definitely the word that I would use for them. But, you know, brave people. I've never seen Dogville. I have seen Antichrist, and yeah, that was quite an experience. Yeah, wow, really bold choices. Still bold, but a slightly different theme. These pair of John Waters films that rented this week. We have both on Criterion. We have Multiple Maniacs rented out, and as did Female Trouble. Female Trouble is my preference of the 2, but they're both superb films. These went out to, again, 2 separate customers who are both on a John Waters kick, and lucky them. I don't know if they were seeing them for the first time, but I would love to be able to go back and watch these films for the first time. It's such a massive impact, and they're both absolutely fantastic. So that's great to see some John Waters renting out. Really good to see. This one was a quick return, only went out for a couple of nights. It's back already. But yeah, one of my customers asked for a recommendation. What you find here is you get a lot of people who are really into their films, as you are, And so it's a bit more difficult to give them a recommendation because in the main they've seen all the standard recommendable films, so you've got to kind of dig a bit deeper. Mosquito used to sit somewhere near the bottom of the IMDb bottom 100. I don't know why, because it's really good fun. Gary Jones directed it, who also directed one of my favourite horror films, Rumpelstiltskin. And he's a great director, great FX guy. And Mosquito is just great fun, brilliant practical effects. And of course it stars the late great Gunnar Hansen of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. I think it's an excellent movie, and this Blu-ray from Synapse is worth a look because it's got some great special features on there. Again, sound like I'm sponsored by Warner Archive, but The Frisco Kid rented out this week, a second Gene Wilder movie of the week. Also stars Harrison Ford, directed by Robert Aldrich. Great fun cowboy movie. And this came out on the UK brand of Warner Archive. My customers seem to want to be challenged this week. Certainly that will be the case with Come and See, the brilliant, the mesmeric Russian war film that's just... it's superb, isn't it? But it's not streaming. It's not streaming. Something this good you can't stream, which is frankly outrageous. I know it's out in Criterion, I think in America, but thankfully over here I still have the great old double disc DVD from Nouveau Pictures, which is good. Just to go back to Frisco Kid. Do you know Frisco Kid is $4.49 to rent on Amazon? £4.49 to rent that film on Amazon. That's shocking. Shocking. It's £1.66 to hire here as part of our 3 for £5 for a week deal, which I think that's a fair price. Coincidentally, I don't know how this happened. I mentioned The Night of the Roxbury a couple of episodes ago when we looked at the SNL spin-off film that we did in the Fresh Produce, and I mentioned that this is one of my favourite SNL spin-off movies. I love this movie. It cracks me up. I find it hilarious. Don't at me. Yeah, no one really knows about it really in the UK, but I love it. I think it's fantastic. Like I said last time, I've got the soundtrack over there. And bizarrely, someone came in a few days later, before the episode had actually been on YouTube, and said, "Have you got A Night at the Roxbury?" Which is one of those weird occasions in life that just happens every now and then. Mikey and Nikki rented out the other week, didn't it? We mentioned that. And that same customer has gone for A New Leaf, another Elaine May film. He brings bad news, though. Well, not bad news, but rather annoying news. And the fact that Mikey and Nikki, which is out in this country on the Odyssey label, is a shocking transfer on the DVD. A shocking transfer. And he's absolutely right. It is. It's awful. So hopefully in some part of the future, we will get Elaine May's terrific Mikey and Nikki on a boutique label. Maybe Radiance might be primed for putting that out, because it deserves to be seen on a good format. And unfortunately, the Odyssey release on DVD for Mikey and Nikki is pretty shocking. Certainly the oldest film to rent out this week is Metropolis, now in its 97th year of existence. It still doesn't lose any of of its impact. It's still a wonderful, wonderful movie. Fritz Lang and of course this Eureka Masters of Cinema Blu-ray is terrific, and has some spectacular special features on it, and of course it has the reconstructed version of Metropolis, which is interesting. Now, not to be one to court controversy, but Shadows and Fog rented out, and I'm a big Woody Allen fan. I know, switch off now. I have a Woody Allen section. Woody Allen films rent week in, week out, and I'm pleased about that, because I do think he has made some damn fine films, and this is one of the best. Shadows and Fog, out on loan at this week's, and we'll see you for more next week. Okay, it's quiz time, everybody. My fault. I did screw up last week's quiz a little bit. We had a rogue title, Black Knight, which was out of sync. It was out of alphabetical order, which confused everybody, including me. However, you weren't discouraged. Thankfully, you were not discouraged. You had loads of excellent guesses came in. Nobody got the answer, which is fine. Don't worry about that. I'll reveal what film it was. It was this film here, Black Cat Run. One of my favourite films. It's absolutely ace. It's not streaming anywhere. It should really be a candidate for Sleeping Giants. It's a great film, really exciting thriller made for HBO back at the tail end of the 90s. Written by some guy called Frank Darabont, who you might have heard of. That was a film anyway. No one got it. Don't worry. We're going to do a new one in a second. So we're going to have last week's competition prizes, the Warner Archive Blue, A Stalking Moon, the DVD out of print of Captain Jack, and I'll add to that the newly restored Film Masters DVD of the Swiss Conspiracy with David Jansen. So three of you will win one or the other of those. So now, just in case it's your first time, and we've all had a first time, the way the quiz works is that one of the films in the Snips BSI section, the basic store inventory, has been removed. One has been removed. You'll see one of my rental boxes in its place. You need to tell me which one that is. So here's the still. Now the BSI section is exactly what it says it is. The meat and potatoes of the video store. So there's no genre movies, there's no boutique labels, there's no foreign language films. It's typically your standard action drama comedy fare. They're also filed, and I promise you, in strict alphabetical order with no rogue titles out of sync. Okay, take a good look. I'll pick a handful of winners at random. I don't know what order I'll do it in, but it's open to entrants right across the world, and the only stipulation I require is that you subscribe to this channel. So good luck, and I will give you the answer on next week's show. Sleeping Giants. What have we got this week? What have we got this week? Well, an eclectic mix, shall we say. I dare anybody to watch this threesome back-to-back in their own curated movie session. This first film is a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of a cheat. It's not streaming anywhere. You can only buy it. But it's not easy to buy. Well, it is if you live across the pond, but for us Brits, it's mightily expensive. It's The Room. The Room, Tommy Wiseau. I know he's got his new film coming out soon, I think, which revolves around a shark in some capacity. The reason I chose this is that for UK people, The Room is not easily accessible unless you go to one of the occasional sort of rep nights at one of our arty cinemas. One reason I'm really proud to have a film like The Room here is that it means that people can access it for relatively inexpensively, which is important. If you've not seen it, you need to give it a look. It is quite iconic. I just wanted to bring this up because I think it's important to have films like this available that otherwise people in this country might not be able to see. So for my first pick for Sleeping Giants this week, we have The Room. Second pick, I was quite gutted that I didn't get to see this at the cinema, because it did play at the cinema, believe it or not. And now it seems to have just evolved into a bizarre rarity that nobody ever speaks of. Probably for good reason. It's a Gary Marshall film. Which admittedly I don't talk very often about Gary Marshall films. I've never even seen Pretty Woman. Shoot me. This is Exit to Eden, the only film you get to see Dan Aykroyd in chaps, and everyone needs to see that, don't they? Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell are a pair of undercover detectives that get sent to a S&M fantasy island populated by Paul Mercurio from Strictly Ballroom and Donna Delaney. It's quite an experience. It is quite an experience. It's awkward. It's fist-chewingly awkward. Oh, even now, I haven't watched it in a number of years. I have seen it several times. Even now, it's so... Oh, I shudder at how awkward this is in parts. But it's great. I love it. I'm an absolute Dan Aykroyd-ophile, and I absolutely adore every one of his films. And even this one, you can't stream it. I don't know if it's available to buy still, but I love this film. And so that is a sleeping giant that everyone in some capacity deserves, owes it to themselves to have a look at. And then sue me and send me the bill for their psychiatrist. Finally, we have a leap from Exeter Eden to La Zona. You have to excuse my blue subtitled sticker. These are old Blockbuster stickers. Blockbuster used to put these on every foreign language film. And I stopped doing it now, to be honest, because, you know, if you can't watch a film with subtitles, come on, man. You know, you should be able to do that. We should be able to embrace other cultures and watch movies from other cultures, so we shouldn't need reminding a big blue label to say this is not from your country, or they do not speak the same language. So yeah, I'm in the process of removing all my blue subtitle letters, all my blue subtitle stickers, because I don't really think that it should be something that I carry these days. But La Zona is from Mexico. It came out about 2007. It's a really bold film, so socially provocative. Kind of revolves around the class system in Mexico City, where all the rich people live in these walled communities with security guards and patrols and within safety. And of course, outside these walled communities, it's complete chaos and bedlam. But this, of course, brings the scenario: what if the two ever collided? What if people from the outside got to the inside of these gated communities and confronted some of the people in there? It's really fascinating. It's a gripping film, absolutely gripping. It's not streaming, and the DVD is now very much out of print. But if you fancy some class world cinema, then I recommend heading down here, paying your £1.67 as part of our 3 for a fiver, and renting La Zona, because it is one of the best foreign language films from the last 15 years. Okay, we're all done. Again, thank you so much for watching Inside the Video Store, episode 5. As usual, same rules apply. If you want to follow this little video store on Facebook or Instagram, you can find us at Snips Movies. Otherwise, you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter, where I'm findable as the Dave Wain for uncensored conversation. Yeah, that's it really. Please subscribe to the channel if possible. If you've got any requests, if you want me to focus on any part of the store, if you want me to stop going on about something, I don't know, feedback below. It's all positive. I can take some hits if there's anything to moan about. Try it. But yeah, that's about it. And all being well, after some building work over there, we'll see you next week.